So we all know what has transpired over the last 2 days or so with Bangladesh's ex-PM Sheikh Hasina fleeing the country, fearing for her life, and by the visuals, by the horrific visuals, you can all see how the protesters, mostly the students, they raided and vandalized and even toppled the statue of the father of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur-Rehman, who was the father of Sheikh Hasina. And that was a little saddening to see because whatever autocratic rule she has been accused of, gagging the media, corruption, low economic growth, high inflation, lack of employment opportunities or jobs, or high persecution, repression, this kind of treatment is unpalatable. It is undesirable. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was no Saddam Hussein. So this protests have been going on since a while now, and it all came to a head 2 days ago when finally the triggering point. But the main mistake, made what was made by the Bangladesh ex-PM Sheikh Hasina was that she shouldn't have fired a lot of student. She gave student side or on-site orders in trying in an valiant attempt to try and quell the protests, but that resulted in her undoing. And as always, India has always stood by her friends. And after fleeing her country, she landed at the Indian Air Force Base, Ghaziabad, in the Delhi NCR area. So that news I read in the morning. So again, without much more hyperbole, much more monologue, and much any exaggeration, we are going to go a bit deeper, not just discuss why the protest took place, how the protest took place, that has been again sensationalized, exaggerated by news media channels and a lot of YouTube channels. We are going to study deeper. We are going to delve into the history, geography, polity, international relations. We are also going to discuss now how New Delhi, our nation, has to engage with the parties in opposition. You might have heard that Khaleda Zia, who was incarcerated by none other than Sheikh Hasina, and she belongs to the Bangladesh National Party, and she is in coalition with the Jamaat-e-Islami. So apparently, the last more than a decade, she was elected. Sheikh Hasina came to power in 2008, then 2014, then 2018, then 2024 also. So there was relatively good relations as compared to the previous history between India and Bangladesh. And one of the major achievements of PM Sheikh Hasina was that she not only helped maintain or establish cordial relations between the two neighboring nations, but it also helped in curbing or stomping out insurgency or extremist fundamentalism. Now speculations are rife throughout media, and experts are worried. New Delhi is worried that with the ousting or the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, the more radical elements comprising of Bangladesh National Party, whose leader is Khaleda Zia, the wife of late Zia-ur-Rehman, who once attempted a coup to overthrow the established government. So Bangladesh has a history of coup, and BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, along with the Jamaat-e-Islami, they allegedly have been anti-India. So again, whatever hatred or discontent that the Bangladeshi protesters or the new government which will come into place currently, the military has taken over. The military General Waqir Uzzaman has said that an interim government will be formed. So all these radical elements, they are somehow or the other going to rub off or come to bite New Delhi. So India has to expedite the cause of, making friends is one thing, but now it also has to strategize and play diplomatically. It has to gradually distance itself from Sheikh Hasina and try to engage the opposition, which sooner or later will come into power. So we'll study a lot of things. It's going to be a very interesting session, and I have also started providing timestamps or made chapters in the videos, the upcoming videos, so that the viewers can, if they're not interested in history, they can visit the geography, or if they are not interested in geography, they can find out the real reasons behind the protest and so on. So I have made it easier for you to access or navigate the videos. So liberation and coups. So it is actually coups. You might have read, seen this term, coup de. So this is coup d'etat. It is so coup. Again, it is not this coup. P is silent, so it is pronounced as coup. Just a fact. So, anyways, so here we are going to discuss in brief about the what has plagued or what has defined Bangladesh's history till now. So we all know about the 1971 Liberation War, some famous peculiar faces. So some peculiar faces you might recognize: Indira Gandhi, the prime minister at the time of liberation war. India played a huge role in liberation of Bangladesh from the repercussions or the persecution that Pakistan was inflicting upon. You might have heard about. You might have heard about the Mukti Bahani movement, very famous, brought to life by the father of Bangladesh, again Sheikh Mujibur-Rehman. So, all came a brief about the liberation war. What happened basically at the time of partition, Indian partition, the British, they made two components, West Pakistan and East Pakistan. But East Pakistan was much more underdeveloped. People were persecuted. There was very negligible economic growth. They were very downtrodden, poor. So, this internal movement of nationalism, of self realization, the people started revolting against the established law and order. And you might have heard of this term Razakar. So, this was ultimately the turning point. So, the major cause, the major triggering point of this massive protest which took place in Bangladesh, which was not only the 30% reservation provided by the High Court on June 5 to the progenies and descendants of the freedom fighters. So that was the main issue. So when the protesters, the students, others started revolting or protesting, so Sheikh Hasina said that others who are protesting, are you descendants of Razakar? So that further fueled, added much potent fuel to the fire. So basically, in 1970s, the protests had escalated and severe repercussions. This Pakistan, there was the leader of Pakistan at that time was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and there was an infamous military general, Yahya Khan. So this is Yahya Khan, this is Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, this is Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Indira Gandhi, this is General Aurora, very famous image. This is General Niazi. So this is the instrument of surrender which was signed after Bangladesh was liberated. So these Razakars were persecuting, and finally, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was the leader. And finally, even when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman attained majority, he won 160 out of 162 seats in East Pakistan. He was not allowed to form a proper government and function and establish its functions properly. And that is why all this led to the this Bangladesh independence war, and Bangladesh was liberated. So this is a brief story. Okay, and then what happened was in 1975, August 15, 1975, first coup. Some handful of soldiers who felt that Awami League. He was the founder of Awami League, Sheikh Mujibur-Rahman, which is the current party of ex-PM Sheikh Hasina also. So some soldiers were not satisfied with this development and they brutally assassinated Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and seven members of his family. Of those were his 10-year-old son, Russell, who he named after a British philosopher, Bertrand Russell. These I read because we have to go beyond the criticism. So at that time, why Sheikh Hasina and her wife and her sister, Sheikh Rehana, were still alive, why they were spared? Because at that time they were not in Bangladesh, they were in Germany. So otherwise, they would also have not been spared. They would have been killed. So the entire family would have been wiped out. So again, at that time also, Indira Gandhi, our government India helped Sheikh Hasina find asylum, find shelter. So right now also the latest news is that Sheikh Hasina is poised to go to England, London, but there have been news that US and UK are planning to suspend her visa. So we'll talk later about that. So this came as a huge shock, not only in India and Bangladesh, but all over the world. So slowly and gradually, Sheikh Hasina wanted to dive into politics also, and slowly and gradually, she started rallying the people behind her, whatever oppressed. Because whenever there is martial law, you whether it be Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or like in 1992 when Taliban took over. So there was this leader, Sheikh Najibullah. So India could not help that, and Najibullah, the Taliban, they hung Najibullah, the leader, from a lamppost. Similarly, in 1975 also, India could not help in an extending an a helping hand to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, but now it was able to help successfully in evacuating Sheikh Hasina. So again, November 3, 1975, second coup. So Brigadier Khalid Musharraf, seen as a supporter of Mujib. So initially Mujib was overthrown, and then this the supporter of the supporters or the dissidents or who were against Mujib, they were overthrown, and he appointed himself as the next army chief. So the crux of the matter is, whenever army takes control, as has been witnessed in the past several times in our neighborhood Pakistan, it never bodes well for the citizens. And in Bangladesh itself, it has been a trend that whenever that being it is not good or beneficial for a particular person or political party to sit in the opposition, it is always persecuted or either exiled or placed under house arrest and whatnot. So similar attitude may be one of the proponents of democracy. It has been now said that Sheikh Hasina used to be one of the proponents of the democracy. She wanted to do away with the military or the martial rule and wanted to establish civilian rule. But the kind of oppression and persecution that she has been exercising over the past few years over the civilians, that reflected her attitude, and the attitude unbecoming of that of a civilian government, that she has acquired an autocratic or dictator role of a dictator. Okay, and more coups. So these continued. So this was a very important Zia-ur-Rehman. He again attempted a coup and he made himself the president. His wife is currently the widow of Zia-ur-Rehman is Khaleda Zia, belonging to Bangladesh National Party, and she sooner or later will form the government in Bangladesh. And he formed the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. This is the logo or symbol. It was overthrown in 1981. Okay, and in he was assassinated. Then in March 24, Chief of Army Staff General Hussein Muhammad Irshad. He's a very famous. I'll show you a picture in the next slide. So he also died in 2018. So he was the founder of the Jatiya Party. So he was also an influential military leader during the time of coups, who prevented the establishment or progressing or development of Bangladesh by not allowing a civilian government to form. So the turmoil continued. So again, after the 1982 coup, he said that elections would be conducted, and he remained president. This is Ershad. So he remained in part in 1990, but again, the anti-imperialistic forces or the pro-democracy forces, they engulfed the country, and he had to leave, resign. Then, but again, for more than 15 years, the army interference did not stop, and it continued. This saga of course continued. And finally, in 2006, from 2001 to 2006, there was the government formed by Khaleda Zia. There's a cartoon. There's Sheikh Hasina. So there is always competitions. Two major parties I told you, Bangladesh Nationalist Party and the Awami League. So they were always competing for the kursi or the seat amongst each other. And 2001 to 2006 was the last time we saw Bangladesh Nationalist Party or Khaleda Zia in power. And from 2006 2008 elections, from 2008 onwards, Sheikh Hasina's Awami League has been in power. Now, path to civilian rule again. So, this Yaujin Ahmed declared himself leader of the caretaker. So, between 2006 and 2008, still there was unrest. The elections did not prove fruitful. So, there was a great caretaker government established or the interim government. So, General Moin Ahmed led a military coup, and Fakhruddin Ahmed, he was appointed head, and this Yaujin Ahmed, was forced to retain presidency. And finally, 2008, military rule came to an end. Sheikh Hasina was finally able to rally the nation, the entire population behind her, and she came into power. So now it was not all bad or worse when Sheikh Hasina came into power. Under Sheikh Hasina, not only the relations between India and Bangladesh improved, they became cordial. Bangladesh became one of the fastest growing economies. Its economic growth rate at one point even outpaced its neighbor, our country, India. The country's per capita income tripled in a decade. 25 million people were lifted out of poverty. And we know that Bangladesh has now become very proficient and one of the major exporters in fields such as garments, textiles, in the agricultural sectors, jute, you know, the Hooghly, the Padma. I'll show you a interesting map also. Then ambitious infrastructure projects, $2.9 billion Padma Bridge across the Ganges. So Ganges River is actually known as Padma in Bangladesh, just a fact. So she even India started extending lines of credit. And then if we consider India as a partner of Bangladesh, we have regular military exercises, Sampriti, then the Bongo Sagar Navy, Sampriti is for army. Then lines of credit. India has established system of Mujib scholarships. It provides army personnel training to the Bangladeshi army professionals or personnel. Then it also helped. There was a recent memorandum of understanding which was signed between India and Bangladesh, which had several features like it was for the blue economy, establishment of a blue economy, sustainable initiatives between the two countries, one unit two of the famous Maitri power plant. Okay, then these initiatives. So India was on the relations had become very cordial between the two nations, and it has also in Bangladesh is also poised to enter from the least developed country to a developing economy. And for that, India is also facilitating various bilateral trade agreements, because a lot of tariffs, Bangladesh, when it enters the status of a developing economy, it would have to let go of lot of tariffs. So India will aid in the trade there also. So divided by fate, united by freedom. Now again, you can see Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was the father of Sheikh Hasina, but now whether emotional or not, India and Bangladesh have to, if they want to progress further forward in the hope of expediting development, they have to look beyond the emotions associated with the liberation war. They cannot keep harking about how India contributed or whatever culture or ethos we uh, share. So it has to engage. That is the main challenge. So bilateral commerce, textile, India is one of the largest trading partners or in the subcontinent, in South Asia with Bangladesh. Infrastructure projects. This was very much in the news. Khoda Agartala rail link, Khulna Mongla train. I have drawn a map. I'll show you in the next slide. So shared vision for India digital. This was part of the recent memorandum of understanding MOU, which was signed between India and Bangladesh. Power to Bangladesh annually in 2003 to the extent of around 1,160 megawatts. Then blue economy and cooperation in the Bay of Bengal in the Indian Ocean region. So Bangladesh is also part of the SARC, the Indian Ocean Rim Association. So a lot of cooperation. There is a lot of scope of cooperation between the two countries. Now this is the map. Although it is a very detailed map, so only I know what I have drawn, but still this Akhoda Akhoda in Bangladesh, Agartala rail links. This is important. Maitri Setu, it was developed over the Feni River. Feni is a transboundary. If you can recognize the states, this entire green portion is Bangladesh, and the rest of the colored, I have just marked the states which are share a boundary, international border with Bangladesh. So you can see this West Bengal, okay. Then we have Assam, we have Meghalaya, we have Tripura, we have Mizoram. Okay, so these are the states which share a border with Bangladesh, and overall Bangladesh, you can see, shares international boundary with only two countries. One is India and one is Myanmar. Okay, so again, Myanmar is now what the another main issue of New Delhi is, again, if extremist activities they start from, but this is a porous border, lots of swamps, it's a low-lying area, so proper fencing cannot, the BSF, Border Security Force, cannot, it is finding difficult. So till now, due to the presence of Sheikh Hasina in this country, India was able to focus mostly on the LOC and LAC. So if another front of terrorism or fundamentalism is opened due to the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, then it is going to spell nothing but trouble for in from the point of view of the security of our country. Then this Rampal is also known as the Maitri Power Plant, Khulna to Mongla link. Okay, so some rivers for interesting for competitive examinations or in general. So this is the Ganges River. This is known as Padma. Then this is Jamuna. This is not Yamuna, actually Brahmaputra. This is the Brahmaputra River, which is coming from Tibet or now China. So this Brahmaputra River is known as Jamuna in Bangladesh, and then they form the Sundarban deltas. Okay, and then with in the presence of Sheikh Hasina, a lot of disputes, like the land boundary agreement 2014. So various enclaves where Indian territories were present inside Bangladesh. So they were Berubari, you might have heard, Couch Bihar was related to this. We are not going to discuss in detail. Then the maritime disputes also. Okay, so this Sagar Island, you might have heard, this New Moor Island. Okay, then some important ports, Chattogram, some important cross-boundary, transboundary rivers, this Meghna, then Kusiara, then this Dharla. Teesta is very important, always dispute between India, Mamta Banerjee. Okay, then this Farakka barrage, also a lot of times in the news, Karnafuli River. Okay, and here, this Kaladan, I have just enlarged the map, it was quite large. So Bangladesh not only important for the stability of the Northeast, but also establishing trade relations, establishing various ports, and obviously now that with the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, now China and Pakistan will also try to have or devour a piece of the pie over the left void, and moreover, this West, primarily US, is against India's relationship with Sheikh Hasina, And it has also, rumors are rife, rumors are spreading that this ouster of Sheikh Hasina was sabotage basically, or it was a plot by the Western powers. So I don't know how good it holds water. So this is there. So now the fall, what went wrong? So now parliamentary elections, although the elections were conducted democratically, but after 2008 in these elections, they were boycotted. The proper participation turnout was not there. So if there is no opposition, obviously Sheikh Hasina's Awami League came to power easily. So there was one of this accusation. Then hard power, Digital Security Act, like we have already talked. One, the gagging of media, like this reminds me of the British time. The freedom of the press was obstructed. So this became a potent weapons to rule out or exterminate the dissent. So, at the cost of economic growth, like we have discussed, Sheikh Hasina brought a lot of economic growth and development to Bangladesh, but it came at the cost of the suspension or evisceration, extermination, eradication of the civil liberties, the democracy, the meaning of democracy was at stake. And also loan defaults, NPAs, a lot of companies, lot of borrowings. In 2023 itself, a huge amount of loan was borrowed by the Sheikh Hasina government from IMF. Then some companies like the CLC Power Limited, okay, the Remix Footwear, then Western Marine Shipyard, these also companies went into default. This I just for fact I read in the paper. And further, a little. So that's not all. Khaleda Zia, the main competitor. So what did I say? It is always bad or non-beneficial for any person to sit in the opposition. So as soon as she came into power, Sheikh Khaleda Zia was accused of corruption. She was in jail. Now she has been freed recently after the ouster. Then COVID-19 pandemic also hit Bangladesh. The worst, the economy crumbled a lot. So although India helped during that time, politics. One fourth of the 170 million population is in the age group of 15 to 29. And according to census, Bangladesh has a population density has the maximum population density, that is people per square in the world, square kilometer. So obviously when youths have nothing to do, they don't have jobs, so they will take to the streets, they will vandalize things. So then this was the main trigger, this was the main we can say the prophesized nail in the coffin, 30% quota in the coveted government jobs to the freedom fighters and their progeny. Then Bangladeshi taka, currency, formal currency of Bangladesh, depreciation, undergone depreciation, foreign currency has more than halved. Then $4.7 billion IMF, current rate of inflation close to 10%. So all these were, so that discontent was rife, it was already simmering. So at the end, this is the statue of the father of Bangladesh, which was toppled. You can see people climbing over it. So this was little saddening, and this was a poster very famous in the news poster of Sheikh Hasina. It was sprayed, I don't know with what material. So we can only hope that the sun will shine again. It will again Bangladesh, the relations or the interior situation comes back to normal, and finally India tries to maintain good relations. And few years back, Sheikh Hasina came to India and she told that Bangladesh is not a rich country, but we have a big heart. So that is true in a lot of sense. So India also has to play a huge role in stabilizing Bangladesh in the imminent future. So with that, I would like to conclude. Hope you enjoyed this session. So Jai Hind.